content is for informational and educational purposes only. You should not construe any such information or other material as legal, tax, investment, financial, or other advice. Nothing contained here constitutes a solicitation, recommendation, endorsement, or offer to buy or sell any securities or other financial instruments whatsoever by Draper Goren Blockchain, aka DGB, the presenter, or other associated parties for the content being provided. Please do your own due diligence and seek proper counsel.
Boom. Welcome to the Crypto Family Hang session number 24. We keep switching between crypto and blockchain and whatever. I don't know. It's to me, it's interchangeable. To most people, it is. It is. So by the way, if you're watching on the live stream on YouTube or LinkedIn or Twitter, that's awesome. Thank you. If you're watching a recap of this, make sure to follow us in all of those places so you get alerts when we go live. And if you're an entrepreneur, if you're an investor, you want to participate in blockchain companies at the earliest stage, go to dgb.vc and contact us. It'll get you on the mailing list also. Tell us what you're working on because we want to know. And I think today we're probably going to talk about some of the companies we're working on and some of our ideas so that hopefully we inspire some of you to reach out and come hang with us. What I miss? How's it going, dude?
It's like 6/4, 2024. Bitcoin's at 70,704, 702 right now.
That's like, cool.
And it still sounds like it's crickets, and there's not many people talking about
that. That's a crazy thing. That's something we talk about a little bit, but I've been talking about more and more because on every call, people are like, if you're in the space, if you just zoom out a tiny bit, if it was, just a few years ago, and you said it's going to be June 4th, 2024, Bitcoin's at 70K, exactly what Rankin just said, and then also end it with, and pretty much nobody's going to be talking about crypto in the public normal world, your mind would break. And you would be like, holy shit, that's the greatest thing in the world, right?
I was looking at a photo from 4 years ago that said, hey, look, Bitcoin's at 10K. It's up from 3K.
Hold on, I'm gonna remember. Well, okay, because of the Draper connection and having him as a partner, how many people at the time when he made his 10K prediction were coming to me, coming to our conferences, laughing about it in our faces, laughing about it to Tim, or just even crypto people who truly believed, going, are we going to hit the 10K? Are we going to hit 10K? Is that really a thing? Or of course, the mainstream people that were just like, haha, you idiots, 10K Bitcoin. That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. That's never going to happen. Right. And look at where we are as an industry. It's pretty wild. Oh, and an OG, Mr. Suit, is checking in from Twitter, or from X, I guess. Mr. Suit, aka Mr. MetaMask, early crypto OG. He's rocking his punk, but he switched from Mr. MetaMask to Mr. Suit because his ape is wearing a suit, or one of his apes, because he's that rad. We got to get him back in here. Bitcoin 70K. Here's the thing. Let's zoom out a little bit on this chart, and then I'll try to put it on the screen. I should have done this on Lunar Crush, but on my screen. But I'm looking at it on Lunar Crush on my phone here. What I want to see is switch from 1 week to 1 year. And then instead of looking at the price, let's look at social dominance, which is actually down, but I want to see posts created, right? And you start looking at these charts. Let's see if I can see it this way.
Can you show us on your phone?
No, I can't really show you very well on my phone because it just looks like a jumbled mess. Plus, I'm looking at the blurriness. So, but what's crazy is that Bitcoin's at 70K. Are there new people talking about crypto every day? Yes, but it's not growing as steadily as the price, and it's not growing like when Bitcoin went from to whatever it went to, from 10K to 20K or whatever back in the day. That blew up percentage wise of people discussing it. People have now just gotten so accustomed to Bitcoin and crypto in general being so volatile and crazy that in today's world, where everyone should have their mind blown every moment that Bitcoin's at 70K and Ethereum's at like what, $3,500 or maybe even higher now, $3,800. Everyone should just be like out of their minds. And you're not, right? It's well, the crypto space is, the certain degens are chasing other dumb, right? Yeah. Meme coins and whatever's. And then the builders are just building, and which is actually, to be honest, I think it's a huge opportunity. Way less hype creates more opportunity at the earliest stage. It's harder for early stage companies to capitalize on that hype that sometimes exists, to raise a bunch of extra money or raise at dumb valuations. But as an investor and as the builder, having a more sustainable, more realistic ecosystem long term is better for all of us, right? So I think it's a huge opportunity, bringing it back to reality and what we kind of wanted to talk about today, right? Just it's wild though. I mean, at your meetups, right? Are you seeing a bunch of new blood?
Well, I mean, exactly. I see one new person at a time, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm checking out crypto," or "I've been."
Which isn't that different? Which isn't that different from bear markets, right?
No, it's like it's still a bear market, which is really crazy. I mean, it's like volumes. Like when you see like Gwei on Ethereum transactions at like 4 and 6 and 8, you're like, where is it? It's like a ghost town on Ethereum. And I'm like, transaction volumes are really low. And like, I mean, now granted, everybody's playing on L2s right now, but like, I mean, when was the last time you saw, like right now, the middle of the day, it's 17 Gwei on Ethereum right now. At night, it's like 8, 6. And it's just like, that's like what it was like in 2020 when nobody was here.
I think, it's a huge opportunity, right? Because I think, the thing is, what was driving that? There was a bunch of usage, but it was a lot of speculation and craziness, right? Now,
other side, when other side deeds minted and it was like 1,000 Gwei.
Yeah, that was nuts, right? That was absolutely bonkers. And I mean, I say that, but I participated in that stupid game. And
you eat for a piece
and when I say participate in that stupid game, the hype of that moment, right? I believe actually in some of the parts in that ecosystem. I've held all of my my deeds and all of my stuff, but we participate. I mean, it was actually you were on your own. You did that in your personal stuff. I did that in my personal stuff, not through the business, but I tend to participate in a lot of those things, knowing that I likely should be selling if I was just focused on, extracting value. But to me, participation in those communities and in those crazy situations are education for what we do on our actual real world career, which is invest early and participate in this space in a way that, 10 years from now, we're going to look at all those things and go, oh yeah, those were the precursors to the future. Right.
I'm so bad. We were in a call and we were talking about one of these NFT projects, and I caught myself buying one of the NFTs. It's an old project, and I was just like, oh, I sold mine. I should buy another one.
That's right. It's well, the reason why we're here is because we're not, immune to the hype and the speculation too on a personal side, but it's like I said, our day job is not speculating on individual, projects like that. It's the whole space, right? It's the where can we go? Which, by the way, I'll say it on here because we wanted to talk about our companies, but we have one company, Racino, that's building games. Cool. And it's doing something really interesting, and they're building racing games. And you may or may not see some apes in those race cars soon. I'm not supposed to share it yet, so obviously you guys know what the hell I'm talking about. So that's going to be really interesting and really fun combination of the silliness, but also something that's they're doing something really innovative. You'll see once they fully launch and we share it with you guys. That's going to be really, really fun. But
they can go out and test. Isn't there a beta of the game though? They can go like do test.
We were able, you can go to racino.io, racino.io, and whatever's there's a wait list and there's a coming soon and stuff like that.
So if you haven't already seen it,
it's really cool. So there's gonna be a lot more there in literally the coming days and probably weeks. So we should have them on in the next week or two to talk about what they're doing. Something I wanted to hit on too, since it's we're getting into the final days. Our company Zoop, and again, not investment advice and all the disclaimers and all the stuff, is I think about 9 days away from the completion of their Republic round, which is open to all investors, not just accredited investors. I can tell you, we invested at these terms alongside a lot of folks a lot of non-accredited investors and people were participating. We purposely had them set terms that were the same exact terms they were giving to venture capitalists who participate, because as much as I love crowdfunding, the thing I hate most about crowdfunding is when you go on those platforms, the valuation they tend to give the public are total bullshit valuations. Most companies inflate their valuations like crazy. These guys are getting investors outside of the platform and on the platform at the same valuation as what everyone gets to participate in. And so you can check that out, republic.com. Is it republic.com/Zoop? Let me just double check. Yeah, republic.com/Zoop. So, or you go to zoop.gg and there's a bar at the top for it. They're doing some really cool things, and you'll be able to see how, the digital versions and digital distribution of these things over time is going to be more and more exciting. So check it out. Really, really cool, fun stuff with Zoop and IP and things like that. What
have a card game coming out. So
the game is up and live on there too, which is pretty cool. Oh yeah, you could go public.com/Zoop. You shared it on there.
Yeah, if you go to actually their website, if you want to know more about them, it's zoop.gg, right?
Yeah.
And they're a crowdfunding site for crowdfunding for comic books and card games. And they have a card game right now called Hack and Slash, which is based off of one of the comic book series.
Yeah,
that they support. And it looks
by the way, one of the cool things about them that makes them different, right? Because it's so funny when I had a crowdfunding platform in 2010 or so, one of the examples I would give was or maybe it was a little later, because I think Kickstarter launched in 2012 or so. And then we actually had the word crowdfunding at that point. Before that, we called it social fundraising. But when I had a platform for that industry where I actually sold software to companies wanting to build their own crowdfunding platforms, or to enterprises that want to participate in the space. And I used to use an example of, if you want to launch the Kickstarter for comic books, you use our software. And I've known Jordan for years now. And when he came to this idea, I thought it was awesome. But just to even expand on what Rankin is saying, is that having a specialty is really important in a space like that, because you can support the entrepreneurs and the creators in a way better way. But what they do that's even better is that we've all participated in Kickstarters that have not fulfilled what they promised, or take way longer to fulfill what they promised, or completely go out of business before they deliver anything meaningful. And what these guys do is they ensure that all of their campaigns deliver, because they actually help with the fulfillment and they participate in the actual fulfillment. So it's not just like, hey, it's a crowdfunding site for creators. It's like a full suite for creators to go, I'm an artist, but I need help in actually printing 1,000 of my comic books or my graphic novels or the keychains that go along with it and all the stuff. And they actually deliver everything before they deliver the proceeds to the creator. So everyone is guaranteed to actually get what they promised. And because of that, they have a way higher success rate than all the other crowdfunding sites. And the actual groups end up getting the benefits too of having someone who knows what they're doing. Because I launch an album or a comic book or whatever creative thing that I want to do, even if it's what I do for a living, I might do it 2-3 times in my lifetime, or if I'm early in my career, this might be the first time I'm printing something, right? All the pitfalls that go along with the first time, and the fact that I don't have volume discounts, I don't know where the best quality and prices and things are, get eliminated because Zoop takes care of it, and they've done it already so many times. And this is what they do for a living. They're way more efficient. They're better. They're cheaper, and all of that stuff, and not in a cheaper, like bad quality way. They know which print shops actually do high quality printing, right? And so it's pretty great in that respect. So also, if you're a creator who is wanting to make something physical and real or digital and want help in distributing it and getting it out to your people, they do that as well. And they're expanding into ongoing e-commerce also, so that after the campaign, maybe the campaign will have special edition versions, like if a comic book, I'm thinking of my like special silver foil edition of my Silver Surfer comics I have at my parents' house, right? That might come to you from the campaign. But if you want to buy a copy of that comic book after the fact, right, maybe it's not the special edition one, or a different edition of it will be available on their site ongoing now too. So it's kind of a cool way for creators to bridge the gap and actually monetize versus just, having to figure out where do they go from YouTube.
It's also led by Jordan, right? And what's really cool is Jordan's had a successful exit on a previous project, right?
Yeah.
He knows how to build a good company. And
he's a comic book nerd.
He's a comic book, right? So it's perfect in the space. So, and there's some really cool things that, because he's an entrepreneur and because he's in that, he has some really cool things that he's working on. And so I'm looking forward to seeing Zoop. Now, granted, obviously we've invested in it. I've also put a little my own money into it. I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, it'll be great to see where it goes. And I think, like I said, I think there's going to be more and more digital, and there's going to be more and more falling into the blockchain world. They're not touching any blockchain stuff.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know the comments of people like that yet, but we'll find out.
Well, the comic book industry has been burned, right? Not that they've been burned. Well, they have been burned by the perception of the blockchain space in previous iterations. Like I talked about this with that one Roblox game back in the day.
The royalties disappeared. OpenSea literally hurt the whole royalty thing. And now what's funny is there are actually NFT projects who will not list their NFTs on OpenSea anymore, and they'll use something like Magic Eden, who will actually honor the royalties because of what that did. Yeah. And so, I mean, it's cool to see people fight back a little bit.
100%. All these things need to be taken care of. But the biggest thing is the user experience. That sucks with NFTs at the moment. That's getting better and better every day. And the public perception of the speculation of the environmental impact, which really isn't a thing anymore, and really wasn't ever. But here
we have AI. Nobody's really talking about the environmental impact of processing AI.
Which is way worse than crypto ever was, and is growing exponentially. But people are talking about, I wish I would have bought more NVIDIA stock, right? Not kind of correlating the fact that that's exactly correlated to destroying the environment. If that's the meme you want to get behind, right? I don't totally buy it, but I do, right? It's at least the truth, right? Yeah. With crypto, it wasn't very true, and that was the biggest problem. It sucks. But anyway, don't have to go there. But those are the reasons why you got to be really careful if you're an existing industry bringing in blockchain, right? But speaking of that, one of the reasons why we're doing some of the companies in our portfolio the way that we're doing them is because building a product for an industry that already exists is really hard unless you Trojan horse it in, right? Because think about the banks and RWAs right now are the big buzzword, right? Yeah. Even they, with the Bitcoin ETF going and everything being the most successful ETF in the history of ETFs, right, are still skeptical and still being really slow at taking this technology and bringing it in-house or at least implementing it, right? So a few of our companies are going to be kind of doing that behind the scenes as they build products for those traditional spaces, right? Is that a good way of putting it out there, right? Because
Yeah.
so we have we have companies in our portfolio that are building a more modern mortgage company, a more modern
Company.
appraisal company, and
Well,
yeah.
have you ever explained the logo? Like, what does a // mean for DGB?
Sure. Well, it is interesting. Yeah, it's kind of fun because so we have the .. You guys can see it in the corner here. I could bring it like you see the big DGB. You know what I should do is let's see if I still have it open in another tab. I'm going to download something really quick. Go into our drive.
Well, so are you?
Go.
No,
No, go.
So the funny thing, what many people don't realize is it, comes from the DOS days, right? Of directory trees and, reversing the directory and, going to the root directory of a file, right? And typically, what do? You group your files, right, within the parent directory. They're all related to each other, right? And so the idea and concept within DGB is that we are a parent company with investments in a whole bunch of other companies, which are kind of like files that are all related. And the goal is to basically make this this collection of companies that is symbiotic and can work together to help one another.
I could have done the better overlay. I'll find the better colors for the overlay. But yeah, so when we were looking at the logos, right, we're going through these branding exercises. We have Josh on our team who's amazing and guiding us through these ideas and iterations of our logo. And there was one version of our logo where the DGB, the space in the middle of DGB were actually little squares, right? And it looked to me like just dots. And then I was like, ooh, maybe the B can be like italics, and then it'll look like .. And nobody really knew what the hell I was talking about in that moment. And I was like, .. or maybe like we could do some animation where the DGB goes away and then it's .. And I didn't really think about it in a super meaningful way yet. But then as we were thinking it through, we're like, ooh, hitting .. in DOS prompt or even in code or whatever, depending on code, some will just be .. or whatever, takes you up to the next directory or to the parent directory. And when we thought about it that way, one of the words we were talking about when we talked about our strategy and structure, we're a parent company to a bunch of other companies. Sometimes we create them from scratch ourselves, and sometimes we find two entrepreneurs with an idea and we support them at the earliest stage. I actually every time we got designs from our team, I did two things. Where it said TM in the corner next to the .. Like you can see it above Rankin's head right there. The TM is being blocked by his hair. Move your head down really quick. So that TM, right, I would change to GM because I just thought that was funny because I was being a degen. And then the next part is I would change where it said a parent company to the parent company. But that's just me making dumb jokes. But that's part of our strategy, right? That's the meaning behind the .. right? Is that we're putting something really big together in that respect. We're also gonna do some things on the venture capital, fund management, crypto product side that may fit into we're building a foundation for something much bigger, and we're the parent company there that I can't totally talk about now. Yeah, Kevin, I literally was working on this today. I know we're talking about it today. You're right.
Draper Goren logo.
I've had a few people just go, I love the DGB logo, but we need to know that it says that with Draper, that it says, right?
Draper. Yeah, I guess playing on the name, the word Draper Goren Blockchain Studio. Yeah.
Just or honestly, just Draper.
Too humble.
Just Draper, but it's just Draper, right? Like is really what we need. We can kick.
So you're gonna do Draper with GB, just like MGM.
That would be really funny. Favorite GB. Then it looks like it might look like Great Britain, you know, like when you see you see that
Draper.
on stuff like
I'm sure Draper wouldn't mind having his name on Great Britain.
yeah, nah, it's all good. Don't be coy about it. Capital letters. Kevin's just saying go all in. But Kevin is a you know, he's one of our fanboys, like I'm a fanboy of his, so it's, you know, we're biased.
Kevin, I'm helping you out. I'm supporting the Tezos today, bro.
That's right. He's wearing his Tezos jersey today. Oh, what's up, Slam Diego? Talk about a legend. Heck yeah.
So the good thing is, as a parent company, one of the things we like to focus on is various companies that complement each other, so that way they can piggyback off each other. And so it's building this network of companies that can just all work.
That's why this is the Crypto Family Hang, because we're working on we treat our founders like family. We want to work with them long term, and our investors as well. And so we're building growing the family. So when we're coming up with the logo, and then the symbolism of the parent directory kind of fit in. Although, you know, the idea of being a parent and being the adult in the room isn't as fun as being the ridiculous builders, but that's okay.
I'm a fun parent.
It's all awesome.
I'm a fun parent.
Hey, I think I'm a fun parent too, but you know, being serious. Kevin, you know, capital letters, bro. You know, it's just it's like you know, like when people used to, when texting didn't have the autocorrect and didn't have the good spelling or whatever, and there'd be the old person who texts you in all caps, and you're like, why are you screaming at me?
That was me who did an accident once. I'm like, I didn't know. Sorry. Caps locks was stuck on. I didn't know.
I like the people who somehow have like really weird, crazy mistakes now that aren't autocorrect mistakes. They're like almost purposeful mistakes. Like, I don't know how it's done, because I have mistakes in my messaging all the time, because I'm like speaking it to Siri, and sometimes she doesn't pick it up right, or words just don't work good, right? Like, or I just don't know how to talk, apparently. Or you're typing something and there's a lot of autocorrect stuff, right? Like my name for most people's phones would autocorrect to like Alon or Alon or something, right? That never bothers me, because I'm like, ooh, autocorrect mistake. But every once in a while, when there's like some weird thing that like, it's always funny to go like, did this person do that on purpose? Like, how did that even happen? Because it's like, your computer should have changed it to something. Right. Those things are always funny.
Another product that DGB is doing, which we're still in the testing stages, so if you haven't taken a look at it, poser.xyz, right? And if you compare it to other, AI facial things, it is super cheap right now. We should increase pricing on it. But we are trying to get user experience out there and see what people think about it. And so if you want to take advantage,
cool. Here's an idea. Yeah. So go to poser.xyz, test it out, and give us your feedback, because that will help the team a lot, because we have some internal people working on it and stuff, and we'd love to get feedback on it. And could we do something, Rankin, like get some like promo codes for future things and give some?
Here's the thing, like they already get unlocked. Like we're like, it is super cheap right now because we haven't really applied any heavy pricing. So like unless they change it to 1, it was like you got 3 unlocks for free. But the thing is they can generate a character right now for free. Like,
okay, cool.
Great photos off of it. So the only time they pay for it is when they actually want a high res picture of the photo they like. Okay. And so like, I think, people should go try it. I mean, it is a pretty cool tool. It's cooler than a lot of what's already out there. If you haven't checked it out, check it out.
Heck cool. Yeah. All right, cool. Nice. Are there other ones we want to? Well, something I do want to say, because Kevin is here. We talked to him about experimenting, of course, on Tezos and stuff. But there's an interesting. We talked about this a little already, but there's an interesting um, layer 2 launching EVM chain called Etherlink that will actually sort of resolve to Tezos and write to Tezos in the way that Arbitrum or Polygon might write to Ethereum, except for Tezos is a fully decentralized chain with on-chain governance, and it's non-custodial. So it should be one of the, if not the only non-custodial layer 2s out there. So it's actually doing something really interesting from a technological perspective, not just on launching another layer 2 because layer 2s whatever, right? And so I'm really interested in learning more about it, of course, because of the Tezos connection and wanting to learn about it. But I'm trying to understand, okay, I get the technology reason and the decentralization reason. I want to fully understand why companies are wanting to build on it or why they wouldn't want to build on it. And I want to learn more about it. So I'm going to do a live stream with Kevin that Kevin's going to be sharing very soon. And Kevin says it also avoids all MEV costs. So there's lots of reasons why it's really cool. But anyway, I'm going to do a live stream with Kevin about Etherlink once a week for the next few weeks, probably, and maybe even beyond that, to learn more about it and to see who's building in that community, see if it's something we want to participate in and all that. So make sure to follow Kevin and I on Twitter and stuff. Oh, wait, I think, Kevin, can I share the thing that you didn't share yet, the Twitter account for the new one? We'll see if he says yes. But there's a new Twitter account that he put together that I don't know if it's ready for me to share publicly yet. We'll find out in a second. But we're doing some cool learning there. Somewhere I also want to learn more about. I just saw you messaged somebody in our Slack is we talked a couple months ago of building more on Bitcoin, right? One of the people. Oh yeah. So it's at ETH. So really quickly before I go into Bitcoin, one last thing, Kevin shared it. It's Etherlink Pod. So at Etherlink Pod on Twitter. Or x.com/Etherlink Pod. Go follow that because that's where we'll share it. Kevin's gonna share a video soon. I told you, Kevin, we shouldn't have edited it together. We should have. No, I can still hear you. Who's frozen? Is it Rankin or is it me? My computer's still giving me alerts, so I assume you guys are seeing what I'm saying. I think we lost Rankin. So it'll be really interesting to learn more about Etherlink. We're going to talk about it. We're going to explore that ecosystem, and we'll have a little fun doing it. So please, yeah, I'm still getting alerts, so I assume I'm still here. If somebody can still see me in the chat, let me know. Unless Rankin is flying solo now and I'm by myself.
No, I'm back.
No, I think it was you. It was you. Okay, because I was still getting alerts on my computer. So
yeah, this is laptop.
Anyway, I want to say one thing to Kevin before I jump in. Kevin wanted to edit together a really slick 1 minute video going, I'm Alon and I'm Kevin. We're gonna talk about Etherlink. And he asked me a bunch of questions. I asked him a bunch of questions. He's going to edit it together. And I'm like, maybe we should just stop and just try to record it in one take, because then we could just post it immediately, because that was a week ago and we haven't posted it yet. I told you editing takes too long and too much effort. You got to go the lazy route because it's sometimes lazy is better.
Well, faster. That was what Gary Vee always said, it's just about getting content out there. Yeah. That was one of the things he was talking about, is consistency on getting content. If you spend too much time editing and never actually getting content out, then it was
I think Kevin was just at consensus, so he had way more fun things to do. And see, he's already said he got it down to under 3 minutes. Great. No, but I'm just messing because now we're talking about it and it reminded me. So okay, so the next thing I wanted to hit, or you just reminded me, is we talked about building on Bitcoin. We have a
Yes.
couple of our companies that are building on Bitcoin and doing some interesting things, but we just did a deal. You guys remember our friend Sid, and Sid is Sid Sridhar. If I pronounce his last name right, we'll find out. But our friend Sid is going all in on building a Bitcoin project right now. So we'll be sharing info about that soon. But also, if you're building something on Bitcoin, whether it's DeFi or anything, let us know, because we want to get a few more companies building on there. There's some really interesting opportunities at the moment, and of course, very, very long term, not just at the moment, but we want to be early. What are you most excited for on Bitcoin, or are you not, right? Because you are an early Bitcoiner.
Me?
Well, you like Bitcoin. I like Bitcoin, right? A part of me goes, there's nothing wrong with Bitcoin. There's nothing wrong with Tezos or Ethereum. So why do we need to build the same shit on Bitcoin, right? But
Bitcoin's a better version of dollars or money, right? And in my view in life, everybody wants to extract your value and your money out of you. And so the goal is to not have it extracted and preserve as many dollars, or in this case, Bitcoin, as possible.
Yeah. So we want more Bitcoin over time.
More Bitcoin
so that actually, I think that's a great way to go into the whole Bitcoin ecosystem, because the idea, even in what we do on an everyday basis, is, can I give you $1 and I don't mind waiting 10 years because I'm long? Will that equal more dollars at the end of 10 years, right? As a portfolio, I'm a little scared to use my Bitcoin, and I'm a little, right?
Luckily, Bitcoin isn't as easy to use as Ethereum. And so because of that, I've actually held more Bitcoin than I have with Ethereum, because what happens is, in Ethereum made it really easy to spend and use. And so I bought things like NFTs, I bought things like meme coins or some other shit coins that have all lost value probably in comparison to Ethereum. But that taught me an important lesson: don't spend the Bitcoin, because what ends up happening is you end up diluting, or you end up, losing. There's a great concept that if you have a superior asset, superior assets will always bleed into more inferior assets that you end up spending, right? So it'll go from, if it used to be gold, you ended up with dollars. Now, if you end up with dollars, now you end up with something even cheaper. And so you have this trickle down effect. The nice thing with Bitcoin is you just I didn't have to touch it, right? Where if I have Ethereum, I would have Ethereum and it would trickle into some other asset. And then usually that asset might have gone up for a period of time, but usually over long term.
You mean by choice, because it was easy to distribute it and spread it around? Or do you mean like airdrops and things you got as a dividend?
Well, no, airdrops were a free money drop. Those are just, but I'm talking about anytime I spent ETH, usually I bought something that was inferior to the ETH. And inferior things don't hold as value as
that's speculation, right? That's gambling. I mean, maybe not gambling, but it's close to it sometimes.
Yeah, and so the thing is you always want to keep the most pristine asset. Whether it be real estate, gold, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then anytime you're trading into inferior assets, you're simply gambling or consuming, right?
Or maybe diversification, right?
Or diversification. But the thing is why you want to diversify out of good assets. It's if you own the number one asset, why diversify into 2 and 3?
I don't know. I'm not diversified at all.
No, right. Well, that's the problem. So the thing is right? Like if you own Nike, and no, this is not a shill for Nike, but if you own Nike stock, Adidas or Under Armour is another example, won't ever get to the level Nike's at, because Nike has solidified themselves as king, right? And unfortunately, I own Under Armour stock, so I know this. and my performance in Under Armour hasn't exceeded, Nike's performance. And it's just like, the thing is, it's really hard to dethrone the king, or who's created a moat for themselves, and Bitcoin is that king. And so it's just like, and this is where
but Or think about this: early stage startups, right? I think I agree with you that Bitcoin is the king, and there's a long, long time until maybe it's dethroned. But
I'm
even
by
if
far
it's
no max.
dethroned, it's still Bitcoin, right? It's kind of like saying like, oh man, I should have bought. I shouldn't have had so much Amazon stock because Apple went up. But like, you're a winner, right? Like if you held for a long time. So I think there's that, but also investing in early stage startups, you're investing in the premise that the bigger and more bureaucratic a company gets, the slower they are, and more stale and less innovative, and smaller, more agile teams are either going to come in and be acquired by them as their only hope to evolve, or they're going to put them out of business, right? There's brands like Nike and things like that are brands, right? And maybe even Bitcoin is you look at it as a meme or a brand, right? But
Well, so what's
it'd be crazy to think that never will there ever be another asset or startup that creates, because actually, kind of like, for how many bazillion years did retail exist as retail until Amazon came around, right?
True.
And then all of a sudden you went from not trusting to put a credit card on the internet to everyone doing it, to now everything exists on the internet
100%.
and we've redefined retail. And now you wouldn't even think about, I'm going to launch a retail store. We'll worry about the internet part after we launch. Like, that would be the stupidest idea in the world, right? It should be the opposite. So there is a future where, hey, money existed in this certain way for a very long time. It got shifted, I don't know, 60, 70 years ago, whenever that happened, 50 years ago. And the experiment didn't work out long term. Inflation went nuts. We got this thing called Bitcoin. And every time there's an evolution, at least in technology, it seems like the next step in the evolution happens a little faster, right? Like, it grows exponentially. So maybe the future of digital money or store of value or whatever isn't actually Bitcoin. Maybe there'll be a new technology.
Well,
I don't know. I don't believe.
I have to say, in dollar terms, I'm up, right? In ETH terms, I'm probably about break even. Well, but the thing is I'm down in ETH. Like, I have less ETH. If I look at the value of everything, it's probably.
But what about the friends along the way?
You're priceless. You're priceless.
That's right. That's right. And you know what, though? I think, though, that's what I would say about participation, especially in the Ethereum ecosystem. And I've been saying this for years on live streams, whatever. I said this last week when we had, by the way, if you missed last week, because we did it on a different scheduled time, we had Scaramucci on. It was a pretty cool hang session. We didn't get into any of the politics, really. We just talked about startups, and it was
okay.
It was good.
Did you watch Lunar Crush's last video and him mention Berkshire Hathaway's price falling?
No, I gotta. So tell us.
So Joe was talking, and they were talking about Berkshire Hathaway because there was a dip last week on Berkshire Hathaway. So I went on his Twitter post and replied, I think that was because of my comment on our show, because I was talking about how Berkshire Hathaway, BRK, was similar to Bitcoin. And I said, somebody probably decided to sell some Berkshire Hathaway and buy Bitcoin.
Heck yeah. Did you tag Scaramucci on it?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you should have. You should have. That would have been funny. Anyway, we had him on. If you want to check the archives and check the streams, you can watch that if you missed it, because we did on Wednesday instead of Tuesday. And in general, where I was going to go is, I do believe experimentation in this space, even if you're one of the people who lose money on your speculation, but I hope you don't speculate too much. I hope you just experiment, right? You end up, this space has a long history of rewarding people for their participation, right? A lot of projects, see, a proof of right-click protocol. That's funny. So a lot of airdrops, a lot of, you get participation in one thing, you learn about another thing, you do these things. All of these learnings, I think, are going to set you and the rest of us apart as things evolve, as some of the small minority of people who participated in the space when user experience was so shitty that we're able to kind of ascend certain levels, get certain jobs. So I think from that perspective, we're going to be ahead of the curve.
Well,
Even if you break even if you lost money. But we all got sucked into some of those games,
no,
right?
I'm happy. So I look at it, it's funny. I look at my crypto investing is a lot like a VC approach, right?
Yeah.
You put $1,000 in, it turns to 100, you lost some money. But the thing is if you do that enough times, you eventually find the projects that are good, and then you go in there, and when you find that good project, you double up.
Yeah.
Right.
Plus, and over time, you start to tune yourself into, and sometimes it's completely unspoken. It's literally like magic, right? Like I've talked to VCs, some of them try to like rationalize it. I actually like Adam Draper posted some things about this in the past. He's like, you don't know what it is. It's just magic. There's just certain ones. You just talk to them for like a minute and you're like, ooh, that's one I want to back. Your own intuition will get honed. The more you participate, the more you go. And then your spidey sense of bullshit will get honed really, really well too. Because remember, for every deal we have to meet with 10 plus companies. Most of them are amazing, right? And we just can only do certain ones. But there are very regularly, especially in the space, everybody knows that, a lot people who are completely talking out of their ass. And it's easier to spot them the more you participate. And I've gotten in fights with friends because they tell me about something and I'm like, I met the dude, I don't trust it. And they're like, he's a good dude, it's good. And then a few weeks later they go, shit, you were right, how'd you know? And I was like, I don't know. It was just a sense that's too good to be true. There was something there that just didn't add up. And when I asked about it, the answer was too much hyperbole, right? Like you ask somebody you ask a really smart person, they usually have oh great, that's a good message to see. Cool. Sorry, our Slack is popping up because I did the wrong thing, and I normally before our live streams I put myself onto do not disturb mode because ADD. We what the hell was I talking about? Now I started reading that message and I got excited about something totally different. But oh, I was just going to say, when you ask a smart person and you try to poke holes, if there's any inkling to you maybe poking a hole, they want to go down that rabbit hole because they're like, oh, did I screw something up? Or is he right? Like maybe I didn't think of that. If they know their shit, they go, I already thought of that. Here's why you're wrong. But when you talk to somebody and say, hey, shouldn't it maybe work like this? Or in my experience, that doesn't work or whatever. And if they go respond with some BS hyperbole, it's either they're trying to make you happy because they're pitching to you. So then you have to reframe it and go like, I'm not offended if you tell me I'm wrong. I want to debate this, right? It helps me understand it better. And hopefully I can convey that and people lose that part of I'm talking to an investor, so I only want to say positive things and not accidentally, hurt his feelings by saying he's wrong, because I love being told I'm wrong all the time. Like I always joke. I joke about this, but it's also, if you pitch me and I'm super bored, I will be pretty quiet and just listen to the whole pitch and say, wow, congratulations. I might give some feedback and be like, we'll stay in touch, whatever. If I like it, pretty quickly, because I start interrupting and debating and ruining your pitch, right? Because I want to dissect it the way that works for me. And I always joke that I was raised by Israelis, so I argue with people that I agree with the most. And maybe that might be offensive in some way. I'm not sure to some other Israelis that don't agree with me, but I don't know. That's just the way I always found it. So like when my brother has an idea for a company, and because he's my brother, I care so much, but also because it's usually a really good idea, we debate it like crazy and we're like arguing about it. And then I turn to the people that I'm hanging with and, oh, that's funny. Yeah. Pravi is saying that the Twitter stream doesn't allow messages today. It's really weird. It does that sometimes. Like in general, none of the, Mr. Suit right off the bat said hi. You know what happened, Pravi? Mr. Suit is just so fucking cool that Twitter didn't want to allow anyone else to post because they're like, you're not going to compare to Mr. Suit. So,
maybe it's a checkmark thing.
Oh, maybe that would be weird if you had to have a check mark to participate in the conversation. We should figure that out, and maybe we should guide people to the YouTube or something on other streams. But anyway, you know, I'm throwing this out there because of the tangent we went on in learning to hone in your spidey sense. And the more you participate, the more you will learn, and the more you will get better at earning too. So don't give up, but also don't spend money you don't have. Experiment is more important than trying to make some massive gain, because the massive gain will be the education you make along the way. And I'm not talking about it in like a school way and like a check mark on your resume BS way. I'm saying in a real way, right? Because participation for most people, especially if you're like me, is way easier way of learning than anything you're going to hear me say, anything you're going to read in a textbook, anything anyone tells you, right? Like, you have to do it.
Success is built over time through good habits.
So
practice.
So we were going to talk about our companies and things like that, but I think we hit some of our companies. But the main thing I want to say on things like this is, if you have an early stage company, or you're even like on the verge of starting a company, you just have an idea and you're thinking about going all in, that's a time to come and hang with us. We'll help you debate it. We'll argue with you. We hang with companies we don't own a piece of at all the time, because part of getting to know them and wanting to know if we want to invest in them is spending the time debating the ideas and helping them hone it. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but I could probably give a list of references of companies that maybe I sort of wish we would have been able to do a deal with, or they didn't fit our model, or they didn't accept the offer we gave them, or whatever, that I love and still follow and still think are awesome. That would probably give us a good reference, because we probably added some value and helped them along the way. But we've also got a big portfolio of companies we have helped grow along the way, and we want to meet you. So this episode is kind of dedicated to go to dgb.vc or DM us on one of the platforms, share what you're working on. We should do a pitch session day on here, maybe like have companies apply or something, or even just like blindly we could give people 5 minutes and just go.
Well, we should probably record it in advance so that we can structure the deal and then list it on the show.
That would be, you know what, I think, we got to figure some budgeting out. But a part of me goes like, oh, how rad would it be to go, we're going to take 10 companies on the live stream. Maybe the live stream will go a little long that day, but by the end of the live stream, we're investing in at least one of those companies.
We could do that. I mean, I was listening to Twitter Spaces and reaching out to people that I was listening to on Twitter Spaces because of that reason.
No, I know we do stuff like that a lot at events and different things, and on this stream, right? A lot of times we hang out with a lot of cool people to learn about their companies, and we bring them on even before we make investments and things, and that's just that's a part of it. But come to us. We wanna meet you. And if you're an early stage investor that's looking for deals, we can also introduce you to our companies, or just become a part of our network, and we'll spend some time with you, and happy to guide you as well, and give you our insights, because I'd rather be your wingman on your first few deals if you're thinking about making angel investments than you going in blind, because the traditional angel group model, I think, is a little broken. But even if it's not broken, and you happen to be in an area where there's good angel groups, you're not seeing the good early stage blockchain deals. You're seeing other deals, and some of them are good, but not in the space we care about the most. So let me know if it's a space you want to get into. I'm happy to be people's wingman and help in that way too. Anything we're missing before we sign off for the day?
No, I think we've covered pretty much everything, unless you want to throw up the DGB thing again.
I'll throw it up one last time, but also make sure to just follow us on all the platforms. Our names are at the bottom here. At DGB Ventures for us on Twitter, but just go Draper Goren Blockchain or DGB, on LinkedIn and everywhere else. And you can find me at Alon Goren, and David at David W Rankin on Twitter. So come.
There's a blockchain expo in Santa Clara, I think Wednesday and Thursday. I'll probably be there.
Wednesday, Thursday, like tomorrow and the next day.
Yeah. So
all
I'll
right,
probably
so go give Rankin a high five in real life if you happen to be up there in Santa Clara for that event. All right, guys, see you later, and we'll message us if you have any ideas for the show, if you want to be on the show and all that too. So peace.
Peace out.